svah savitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo prachodayat.
Gayatri Mantra, when it is chanted, remembered daily, not only it is an invocation and a prayer, but it is an inspiration. The simple prayer is that we meditate on that exemplary brilliance of that divine sun, and may that divine illumine, brighten my intellect, inspire my intellect. And like that, daily praying, daily doing japa of the Gayatri Mantra. Japa of a mantra, first and foremost, helps us to calm our mind. Second, to develop concentration or focus of our mind. And third, to invoke in us that bhavana, that feelings of love, devotion, reverence, which bring about the atmosphere for the development of all virtues. Therefore, a mantra has its vibration that calms us. It has got its inspiration in the form of an ideal, the devata that we are worshipping, adoring. So we have an ideal to bring out that reverence, admiration within us, and what we admire, we easily adopt or we imitate. Then in the mantra itself is the secrets or the knowledge embedded. As the mind becomes calmer, inspired, focused, such a mind then can delve into the depths of the mantra through contemplation and recognize in it the source of strength and knowledge. So when we regularly chant the Gayatri Mantra, not only calms the mind down, but when the mind is calm, that mind is easily focused, and the concentrated and calm mind becomes fit for higher contemplation and knowledge. So when even as a child or as a beginner, we regularly, with shraddha, with faith, and mantra is not just a mechanical repetition, even that is beneficial, no doubt. But it also invokes in us certain emotions. And when we do it with the right bhava, right attitude, with devotion, then the mantra gives us even purity of mind, purity of intention, purity of thoughts, and the enriching of our noble values. This is how the stages of mantras are. So when it is chanted with faith and devotion, faith makes us consistent. Devotion brings in us all the positivity and virtues, because love is the mother of all virtues. And therefore, holding on to that ideal with admiration and with devotion brings into us all the noble virtues that we see in the ideal that we worship. The physical sun, the orb of the sun, is the idol in which we see the ideal. And what can be a greater inspiration for a child that the sun is brilliant, and we pray that may our intellects also be brilliant. It's the source of light and knowledge, therefore the source of knowledge. May we get that knowledge, that kind of inspiration. And the sun is always as though smiling and cheerful, is a source of all dynamism, ever ready to serve and give of itself. Thus, the children grow with sun as their Ishta, their desired ideal. And with that, they develop within themselves. And as our mind becomes calmer, purer, focused, single-pointed, the regular prayer, dhiyo prachodayat, that make my intellect brilliant, make my intellect bright, keep my intellect inspired. Such children, as they get knowledge and grow, and let us say they grow into youngsters, same way our mind also starts developing. By now, from the guru in their classroom, the youngsters have already learned that sun is not some god up there, nor is sun so close to the earth, nor there is any island near the horizon where there are these rakshasas called as mandehas, and the sun, which is millions of miles away, 8 light minutes away. That sun cannot be devoured by some tiny demons, however large they might be. They cannot devour. And sun, which is a gaseous mass where every inch is a nuclear explosion, that sun cannot be devoured. Then what is this bluff story that the guru has told, and believing which they regularly prayed and tried to protect the sun? But having practiced it regularly and having gained the inner development and benefits, they won't leave the practice that easily. The calmness of mind, the inspiration. So rather than saying, oh, we are scientific, and reject all that was taught to them in their early childhood, same way also, as initial seekers, many of our listeners might be absolutely new to understand the great depth that lies in these mantras. There are others who have studied the Upanishads, etc., and think that we need something very deep. But our mind also, as a seeker, like a child, first gets inspired and understands the simple instructions given in the scriptures given by the Guru, practices in a simple manner these great mighty practices. And as the seeker begins to develop, and in this case the Gayatri Mantra helps you to unfold your intellect, to develop your intellect. And as the intellect starts developing and the knowledge starts becoming deeper and deeper, we may question our beliefs and our faith and even our practices. But there is nothing wrong with the practice. It is only the limitation of the understanding when we are children or when we are still learning, that we did not understand the true implication. But whatever we understood and we practiced benefited us. In the same way, now that the youngsters are taught to inquire, to question, and their intellect has developed, they have gathered a lot more information and knowledge. Such a youngster or such a seeker who is advanced now in his thinking and his capacity to know, understand, inquire and think, begins to inquire without rejecting that I have been doing these practices with this belief. There is no such island as Mandeha island with these Rakshasas called as Mandeha. But what did my Guru mean by that? How can the sun be devoured? And if he thinks that his Guru only has taught him what is the sun, and long before modern science spoke about what the sun is, even till the 12th or 13th, 14th century, many people in the West, because of their beliefs, thought that the sun goes around the earth. But long before the scientists of ancient cultures knew very well what is the sun, the distance between the earth and the sun, and what the sun, in the mantras of the Vedas itself, the descriptions that you have implies that they had full knowledge of what is the sun, the moon. They knew the distances between them. They knew their unique features. So it is not that they bluffed the children or they had some primitive concepts in science. In fact, the students who have learned from their teachers only in the Gurukula begins to question that my teacher told me to offer this water to the sun. Either goes and inquires from the teacher or in his own reflection from what he has learned from the books of knowledge and from the teacher, wonders that why did my loving teacher give me such a practice which has no doubt benefited me, but its meaning seems to be ridiculous. It seems to be a myth. But when he inquires and recognizes that indeed there is an island where lives this Man-deha, and from there these Man-deha Rakshasas are creating havoc. What is that? The sun, the physical sun, cannot even illumine my scalp. How can it illumine even my brains or my intellect? But begins to recognize that someone that recognizes my thoughts, illumines my thought. There is a source of illumination that illumines my thought. And what is invoked here is that sun, that consciousness which illumines my thoughts, and because of which my thoughts are recognized and my thinking is possible. But what about these stories about these Rakshasas? Then the very words, and we have been deliberately breaking up these words occasionally so that the intelligence can recognize, and those who are intelligent, that there is mana, mind, and deha, body. And in this body and mind, hordes of negativities and impurities rise. Not only to cover our physical health, but also our mental and intellectual capacities. And what does the Gayatri Mantra do? When we charge the Gayatri Mantra and with water which represents the flow, the effortless flow of our thoughts, when our thoughts are purified by the Gayatri Mantra, then those negativities that rise within us, they are what is called as sin. Sin is not some crime done against God, for which God is ready to punish us. Sin means those negativities, that wrong way of thinking, born of our ignorance, misconceptions, which land us into troubles, that land us into sorrow, which rebound to us in the form of agitations, grievances, regrets, jealousies, hatreds, that create in us sorrow. They are called as sins. And what does the Gayatri Mantra do? By calming our mind and removing our impurities, physical and emotional. It is known in psychology, and as we had already mentioned in the introduction, that intelligence is not a matter of genes alone. When the mind is agitated, our clarity of thinking is not there, and therefore our discrimination, our understanding gets affected, and therefore our intellect is not bright and functioning. Both mind and intellect are made up of thoughts. When the mind is calm and pure, not affected by likes, dislikes, agitations, there the clarity of thinking comes about and the intellect starts functioning. Therefore, it becomes a prayer that, oh, that divine light of consciousness that is illumining all my thoughts, let my mind be directed towards that, and my wrong notions, impurities come to an end. And as the impurities settle down, the clarity of the intellect in the form of intelligence manifests. And now you can see that this story is not some bluff story or some belief or some blind belief to make people practice certain things, but to inspire, to make them consistent, to prepare them. And when the mind becomes calm, the intellect becomes bright. That is nah dhiyo prachodayat. Illumine my intellect so that I have the clarity of knowledge, the right judgment, the right decision, the right understanding by which I perform the right actions and accept the results with the right attitude. This is called as buddhi yoga in the Bhagavad Gita, that I unite with my intelligence. And this light of consciousness is present in each and every one. Just as the sunlight falls on every pool of water underneath it, but the muddy waters do not shine as brilliantly as the calm, still waters which are pure, in which the brilliance of the sun shines forth as its reflection, and the brilliance of that consciousness which is equally present in everyone, where there is a calm, peaceful and pure mind, there it shines as intelligence. This is how the Gayatri Mantra leads us to recognize that source of intelligence, that illuminator of all our thoughts. And therefore, even though many impurities keep rising in our mind, then our daily prayer is, O the divine sun who shines within me as consciousness, let my mind be inspired and become free of agitations, free of impurities, and my intellect thus manifests with all its brilliance and brightness, so that I can understand the true import of the words of the Guru and the books of knowledge, and I come to know the science, not by just information, but through understanding and direct experience. Let us now, with devotion, with steadiness, close our eyes, and just for even a few times, chant loudly, softly, or in your mind the Gayatri Mantra.
Om bhur bhuvah svah savitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo prachodayat. Om bhur bhuvah svah savitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo prachodayat. ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।